Hi everyone, this is Chris from KM Designs Pattern Co. and I want to introduce you to the Hailie Jade Mini front zipper pockets. If you lift up the flap, you can see that you have access to a full interior pocket to the right and the left. There is no divider, so depending on whether or not you're right-handed or left-handed, you can access from either side. Another feature that I want to introduce to you is that it is a convertible. There is no hardware attached if you use the gate rings. Now, I've used a different hardware just to show that it is possible. This is also a gate ring snap connector or strap connector, and you can add additional hardware. So for the backpack, if you want, the way that I have written it in the pattern is you would take your strap and make sure that it's not all twisted. You have your half point here. I'm going to turn it upside down, slide it through that center ring so that I could slide the rest of my straps through. And then these get attached to the sides for the backpack. Okay, so there is your backpack version. Now, if you choose to change it up and you want to wear it as a crossbody, there are a couple of different options you can do. And this is where, if you watch this video, you can choose your hardware accordingly. One of the options is, once I get this undone, and of course you're going to adjust your strap length, and that's why there are two strap adjusters. You can attach your gate rings here, and then you have a crossbody. Another option that you can do is, let's attach these back down here. You can add an additional gate ring to these top strap connectors. Now these are tinier than the 1 1/4 in the pattern, and then just feed your strap through. Now this doesn't only work for the crossbody, it also works if you want to use it still as a backpack. So put this one on here so you can see. So the options are there. One last feature that I want to show you is the slip pocket on the back. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to toss my bag around quite a bit, and I just didn't want to create a pocket that your phone would fall out of. So you slide your phone in, and the flap covers your phone. Another great feature on the inside, not only do you have a zippered pocket, but you also have a pocket here for your sunglasses. I really hope that you love this design, and I can't wait to see yours. For the strap connectors, you're going to start out with a 15-inch piece, and then you're going to cut 5 3-inch pieces. And since this is webbing, we need to heat seal the ends, so I am folding them in half and placing a clip. These larger clover clips work better. I hold it closer to the end. And then this is a nylon webbing, so I'm going to heat seal. So that the ends are kind of stuck together. And if you are using the gate rings that are recommended in the pattern, you won't need to put any hardware on them. I am using this type of connector, so I'm going to need to add to one. And then what I do is at a 1/4 inch, I stitch back and forth on this nylon webbing to ensure a good end and to prevent any unraveling. For the connector cover, you will need 3, and then the other 2 are placed on the sides. So we'll set all of this away. On your side pieces, using the pattern as a template, the strap connector placement is marked here. Take one connector. I align the bottom edge about 1/8 of an inch past the fabric. And the folded edge is in here, and this is the raw end here. And since I can't find my other piece, I'm just going to snip this, fold it in, and then flip the piece over for the other side. Then you can take it over to your machine and baste those on. Connector covers. You'll have 2, and normally I would attach the black with this type of fabric, but for instructional purposes I'm going to use red so you can see what I'm doing. This is going to be done for both connector covers. Place a line at 1/4 inch from the top edge. I'm using chalk so my line will disappear. Right now I'm going to set that one aside. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side. Place DST. Remove the backing. And fold that top edge over at that 1/4 inch line. Now we will flip it over to the wrong side. we're going to place a line at 1 inch from that folded top edge, a line 1/2 inch from the side. We'll have a line in the center and 1/2 inch from the other edge. Place your strap connector raw edge, align it with that 1 inch mark and the 1/2 inch mark. Clip. Same with the other edge, aligning the raw edge with the 1 inch mark and the side with the 1/2 inch. And then I'm centering the middle. You will take this over to your machine and box stitch that. In the time being, we will finish the second connector cover. I'm going to add the DST, and I will fold that top edge over at the 1/4 inch mark. This one I will place a few clips to secure. As you can see, I have boxed my stitches. We're going to place connector covers right sides together and clip, aligning those top folded edges. You will stitch only the sides and the bottom curved edge at 1/4 inch. You're going to leave this top edge unstitched at this time. As you can see, I've used my pattern piece to create a curved line so I have a straight or a better seam. So let me go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I have stitched, and now I want to trim this bottom edge to 1/8 inch. Turn my connector right side out. I will roll this bottom seam allowance since it's curved. Once I'm satisfied, I will place clips. And then I'm just going to re-clip this. We want to top stitch only this bottom edge. As you can see, we've top stitched the bottom edge only, and we will set this aside for now. To get started here, I have both the left and the right side, so D and F, and I'm using spring staffs. So the first thing I'm going to do is punch holes using the pattern piece as a template. If you are using an alternative such as magnetic snaps, you can just place a mark and then install those. So let's go ahead and punch those holes. And then remove the pattern pieces. Want to add a little piece of stabilizer behind. So I'm just using some leftover Peltex. Placing the back and then the top piece. And the little round end is the one that we are going to place on the front. So the front is the piece with this extra cutout. And then this will be the back. Oops. Get it lined up with the hole. And then if you have used spring snaps in the past, you know that if you have a press, there are 2 different die sets for this. So I'm going to go ahead and pause you and place those and be right back. Okay, now that you have your spring snaps placed, you can flip your pieces over to the wrong side, and I'm going to place the right closest to me and the left is off. So we need to place some marks. So from the top edge, we're going to place a 1/2 inch mark, and then we're going to place one at 3/8 of an inch on both pieces. And then on the bottom you can place a 3/8 inch mark. Now the 3/8 inch mark is the seam allowance for the top edge when sewing the interior and the exterior together. Other than that, all seam allowances are 1/4 inch. Next thing is we want our 2 exterior zipper stays. And you want some clips. Now, the 1/2 inch mark is the guide or your placement guide for your exterior zipper stay. Apply some glue. Align the zipper stay with that 1/2 inch mark and your straight edges here. And secure it in place. Now, so you don't apply glue, make sure that this one is facing. Apply the glue to the wrong side. And what I do to ensure that they are exactly the same, I just line the 2 pieces up and secure. Now we do need to allow that some time to set up and dry. But in the meantime, while that is setting up, we're going to place our ruler 1/2 inch from this zipper stay edge. We want to place a line. It doesn't really matter how far, but you're going to place 1/2 inch from that line, 1/2 inch from the top and the bottom edge of the inside of the zipper stay. And do this for both pieces. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then you want to cut out that excess. Then from this corner to this corner, you can place a line or you can just cut. Okay, next we're just going to apply some Fabri-Tac glue from that edge on the corner pieces. Line your fold over end with the edge and then place another clip. Now I'm placing the clips upside down. I want the flat edge to hold the glue. Now I did both corners for both sides. Doesn't matter how you do this, but the long edge will be next. And as you can see, it's right there on the edge. So then we'll apply glue along this straight edge. I'm going to get it all the way up into the corner. I fold this corner over first. Place the clip at an angle, upside down, to get as tight into that corner as possible. And I'm also going to do the other corner. And then we're going to fold the edge over. Now, since this is waterproof canvas, and it's a little stiffer than most other home decors or fabric, I actually just line the clips right up along the edge so that it's really secured. Set that one aside. Again, starting in the corner. And then folding that long edge. And then we're going to set this aside and let these dry. The strap. I use either gate rings or these strap connectors, which are also gate rings. And this is for the backpack crossbody conversion strap. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place a strap adjuster. I measure out about 3 inches, fold over the raw edge, and I'm just going to clip it in place. This is where you will stitch, keeping the strap the same way. With this is the wrong side up, I'm going to place one of the connectors. I am going to feed the strap through the adjuster. So basically one end is ready to be stitched. So keeping, now the strap is right side up. I want to slide the second adjuster through and keeping, don't pull it completely tight to the center bar. You're going to add a connector and you're going to slide the strap in between the strap and the center bar, go around the center bar, fold that edge over, and clip it to stitch. I usually use an X as shown in the diagram. I am first going to make sure I can now pull this. I give myself enough room for stitching. Make sure my strap is all facing the correct way. Then you can take this over to your machine and stitch it. Assembling the flap. If you are choosing to use an 18mm magnetic snap, you can use the light blue template circle on the pattern piece and mark for your placement. If you're choosing to use a large edge lock or a flip or turn lock, that can be done after you've assembled the flap. Now, because we're dealing with long straight edges and a curved edge, what I do is I mark a 1/4 inch from each side. Then I also mark a 1/4 inch from these bottom corners. I take the pattern piece, not the stabilizer piece, I take the pattern piece and I line up those edges and I draw a line. So that way when I am stitching the flap, the 2 flap pieces together, I can make sure that my lines are straight and my curve is also straight. Once you have done that, you can place them right sides together and clip. Stitch the seam allowance following the line. Now that you have it stitched, you can trim this curved edge about 1/8 of an inch. That way then you don't have to notch it. And then when you get to the corners, you can trim that at an angle to reduce the bulk as well. Turn your flap right side out. You can roll your seams, the seam allowances. Once you get it turned right side out, you're going to insert your flap stabilizer and then you will take it over to your machine and top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Now that it's top stitched on mine, I'm going to use the black as a contrast, and I will be using a large edge lock. You can use the template on the stabilizer piece as a guide. And I'm just disassembling my large edge lock. But on the flap stabilizer piece, you have your center line marked with a red dashed line. You can align that with the center mark at the top edge of your flap. Once you get that centered, then you have 2 black dots here that you can use to place marks on your flap. Once you've placed your marks, you can double check that placement with align your large edge lock with those 2 holes. Place the front of the hardware. And you have your flap complete. These are the pockets This one is the sunglasses pocket, and the one on the right is the slip pocket. We want to fold top to bottom, clip together, and then for the slip pocket, the same. Fold top to bottom, clip together, stitch them both at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you have them stitched, trim your threads, and then trim your corners to reduce the bulk. Turn them right side out. Once you have your pockets turned right side out, insert your piece of foam. You will fold the top raw ends over, wrong sides together to close the opening, and place a clip. You will not sew this opening closed as of yet. You do want to go to your machine and top stitch the folded end at 1/8 inch. And I've already done that for the slip pocket. Once you've completed that, you can set those aside. In this next step, we are adding the zippers to the side pieces. We will be working with them wrong side up, and I'm going to rotate so the right piece is going to be the one at the bottom of the page, or at the bottom of the screen, and the left piece is the one at the top of the screen. The first thing we're going to do is add DST. And I'm going to repeat as I go. Then at the top, then at the bottom. So you should be able to see that. So top along the straight edge, and at the bottom there is DST. I'm going to remove the backing. And with one zipper, pull facing to the top edge. These are the same length as the zipper stay, so I'm aligning the top edge of the zipper with the zipper stay. I'm also aligning the edges here, and then I'm going to align the bottom edge. Once I get the top and bottom, I want to flip it over and make sure my zipper appears straight. And then you can secure the remaining DST. So now we'll repeat for the second side. This is the left side. Zipper pull at the top. Place the zipper face down, aligning the top edge. and the bottom edge and the sides. Flip it over and make sure your zipper's straight, and then secure the rest of it. Now we're going to turn them back over to the wrong side. We're going to add another piece of DST. Next to the zipper. Okay, now the end result of your two lining pieces, which would be your right front zipper, is going to go on your left side, and your left front zipper pocket lining is going to go on your right side. So working with the right side and the left front pocket lining, we're going to remove the DST. We're going to align this edge with the zipper stay, and we also want it 3/8 of an inch. So it's going to be above the edge of the zipper stay, but it's going to be just below that 3/8 inch line you marked in the beginning. Secure it, and then fold it over, matching the edges. Now you can clip to hold, and I have a bigger clip for the top. So now this is the left side, and then we're going to use piece H, which is the right front. Align 3/8 inch mark, the edge of the zipper stay, wrong side up, secure it, and then fold it over. Then you want to take these over to your machine. You're going to top stitch along the top edge, pivot, come down along the edge, pivot, and across the bottom. And when you do this, this will stitch this edge of the zipper as well. Okay, now you can see the stitching in black. And you have those both sides secured. Next, we're going to we need this body E. We need to place the female portion of your magnetic snap or your large edge lock on the body. Flip the piece over, and using your pattern piece as a template, mark the placement. The bottom circle is for the large edge lock. The top circle is for the 18mm magnetic snap, and the line is to use for placing a flip lock or turn lock. I've cut out the hole. I can use my magnetic washer to mark for the cuts. Use my seam ripper and push through at the bottom, come back through at the top. We also need a scrap piece of stabilizer. Insert the female portion from the right side onto the body, flip it over, place your piece of stabilizer, place your washer, bend your prongs, and to cover the prongs I use a piece of duct tape or Gorilla Tape. The body, you are going to want to place a mark at 3 inches from each edge. Now we've already placed the magnetic snap. If you haven't done that, do so now. We do it with a pencil. I don't want this mark to disappear on me. Okay. With the body now right side up, you're going to want to take the right side, place it right sides together with the body. And before we do that, we can actually add a piece of DST to the zipper. Remove it. Then align the, keeping the pull out of the way, align your top edges. And then align your bottom. And then secure your tape to the edge of the body. Once you get your right side secured, double check to make sure your center points match. Then continue clipping the right side to the body. Then you want piece I, which is your center front zipper pocket lining. You want to place it wrong side up And using that 3/8 inch mark, you want to clip to the zipper. Go over to your machine using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, stitch from the top to the bottom here. Then you want to stitch from this point to the end, also using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I have placed this side so you can see the stitch line, and then you can see that one. So now it's in the same position it was when you had it clipped. Now I am just clipping some strings. And now we want to add the left side. We're going to fold this open, and we're going to fold this out of the way. We don't want to catch these pieces in the stitch line. Oh, we want main is right side up. This is your left. You want to place it face down again. Let's add some DST to that zipper. Line this top edge. Clip. Align this bottom edge. It may be easier for you to flip it over. And then align the zipper tape with the edge of the body. Make sure your centers align here in this middle. Then clip the breast. Take your center pocket, fold it over. Now, as you can see, it is short. So just to give you an idea, here's the edge, here's the edge. You're going to want to just pull it over, align it with that 3/8 inch mark, and clip it. And it's a tunnel that you're going to use to turn this piece right side up. So again, you're going to want to take it to your machine using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Start at the top edge, ending here, and then starting here, go from this corner all the way to the end. Okay, I have removed all the clips. You can see this will be the back side, and here's this little tunnel we have. What you want to do is we want to turn this right side out. So we're going to reach in, folding over the body portion. And if you're using waterproof canvas, you can use a hair dryer. It does make this process just a little bit easier. Okay, it looks kind of goofy, but that's okay. What you have created is you've created the flap to go over the zipper. And you needed enough space to turn this. So the next step is you want to press this. You can finger press it. And you want to fold it over this raw edge and place some clips. And you do the same thing for the other side. And then you're going to stitch that. Okay, once you have these two stitch lines done, you want to make sure that the width of your front is going to be the same as the width of your back. So you have those 2 3-inch marks on the back side or the wrong side of your body. You're going to align this edge with that 3-inch mark on the left and mark that, align that corner with the 3-inch mark on the right. I'm going to clip it in place, and I'm just going to fold my pieces in half to make sure that we have the same width. Once you verify that, then you're going to want to take piece Z, which is the full front zipper pocket lining, place it right side down or wrong side up. You want the top edge to be at that 3-inch or 3/8 inch mark at the top. Now, if it's a little bigger than the exterior, that's okay. It can be trimmed. What we want to focus on is closing up this bottom section of the front zipper pocket. So we're not going to, if you look at the diagram in the pattern, you're going to see there's a red dashed line, and the stitch line starts here. It comes up about 1/4 inch, then comes across the bottom, and then rotate and ends over here at this stitch line. We will not be stitching through all these layers. So you're going to want to just clip this section, and I'll briefly give you a description of how it's going to work. I take it over to my machine and I flip it in half with this part of the zipper facing up. I open this up at the machine. Now, if you open it up, you're going to see this is the stitch line for the main and the side. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to keep all these extra layers out of the way. So I'm going to stitch from there, stitch up, rotate, come across. We'll just rotate this as we go. And then when we get to this side, you'll rotate and come back down on this seam line. So let me take you over to the sewing machine and give you a better view. Okay, hopefully I've got a good camera angle to show you how to do this. Now, this is the back of the bag. Your interior zipper pocket is flat towards the machine. You're going to open this up and roll this over so that you can see this is your seam allowance from stitching your side to your body. So what I want to do is roll this over enough so that this is flat, like this. I'm going to start my stitch right where I ended it. Go up about 1/4 inch. Rotate. So now you're going to be stitching along the bottom edge. Now I'm going to come across this bottom edge. Rotate all of this. Rotate a little more. Okay, now you can see again, we have moved everything out of the way. We are coming up to the seam from the other side. Once you get there, then you can rotate it and stitch down to the seam allowance. Now, after you have your bottom, the center of your lining stitched, you can then stitch from the seam line out to the outer edge, and then also baste up each side. You want to measure 8 inches down from the top edge, right here on your zipper flap, and place a mark. Do this for both sides. And what you can do is place a clip right at that mark. Now this will be where you'll either start or stop your top stitching up each side of the flap. I've kind of finger pressed this to give me a line to follow when clipping. Now, depending on how your machine stitches, I can actually stitch from the bottom side, start at that line, and top stitch at 1/8. Then once you've stitched, top stitch from those 8-inch marks to the top or vice versa, then you want to begin, the next part of your stitch will start where you ended at the 8-inch mark, and then you will finish top stitching the remaining seam on your bag. I will go do that and be right back. Now that you have the flaps top stitched and then your seam allowances top stitched from that 8-inch point down to the top of the back, we need a ruler so we can place a line for our pocket and our connector cover. So on the back, this is the front. At the top back, measure down 3/4 of an inch. And place a line. Then you want to mark down 2 1/4 inches from the top edge and place a line. This line is the top edge of the connector cover. This line is the top edge of your slip pocket. I will fold this. Some of this will be off screen, but I want you to be able to see the open end, which I've actually tack glued closed with some Fabri-Tac glue, but this is the top edge that was top stitched. You want to just align that. Now this is a dry fit because I want to make sure that the connector cover fits like I want. So using this center mark at the top, placing the top edge with your 3/4 inch mark, I want to make sure, let me get some longer clips. All right, connector cover. I know everyone doesn't sew the same, even though we follow instructions, but on this, the top corner of your slip pocket wants to tuck just under the edge of your connector cover. And the reason we do not stitch this pocket into the body is because I'm afraid that overuse, and because this connector cover it covers the top edge of the pocket, with reaching in and sliding in your items, I'm concerned about this ripping your seam and then making your bag not usable. So it looks as if we're good. So now that we've verified that this is going to work, I'm going to take the connector cover off because first I want to stitch the pocket on. So go over to the machine, start your stitch line at this top edge, stitch to the corner, across the bottom, closing your open edge, back up to the top. When that's done stitching, then you will place your connector cover using your mark and stitch from this bottom corner up, rotate, come across the top to this corner, rotate down to the bottom, and finish off your stitching. Okay, once I had my pocket all sewn on, I did need to adjust my connector cover just a little bit so that it did cover those edges. So I'm a little more than 3/4 of an inch down from the top edge, but that's perfectly okay. Next, we need to place your flap. You want to place this, I want the contrast showing on the outside, so I want it right sides together. I'm aligning the center mark. and clipping it into place. I will take this over to the machine and I will base stitch this on as well. Now that you have the flat basted, you can fold your piece right sides together. And one thing that's nice about having added the spring snaps in the beginning is that you can utilize them to make sure everything lines up. I start clipping at the corner points by my dart, continue to clip up to the top edge. And these side seams are stitched at 1/4 inch. Okay, as you can see, I have stitched my sides at 1/4 inch. And what you can do here is you can either trim this or you can notch about 1.5 inches away from the point of your dart. Then open this up and you notice at the bottom you have a point right there. You can mark this so it's easier to find. Oops. Let's just take a pencil. Open that up. Align your seam with that center mark. I place 1 clip in the center and then 1 at each side. Repeat for the second side. Open up that seam allowance. Place a clip at the center. 1 clip on that side. One clip at that side. And as you can notice, this won't be a straight stitch. When I stitch, it's like this. I start at this, go to the point, pivot a little bit, stitch over. So don't stitch this straight across. Okay, now you can clip your threads and turn the exterior of the bag. Right side out. And at this time, it also gives you an idea of how your bag is going to look. So you can go ahead and clip your sides. So let's pull that plastic covering. And we have to form the Peltex just a little bit. But that gives you an idea of how the bag's going to look even before it's done. All right, let's get started on the lining assembly. First thing we're going to want to do is we can get rid of our pieces. We want to make sure that you have your center top marked on your lining and the center top and bottom marked on your top bands. Place them right sides together, aligning those center marks. Clip those in place. And stitch at 1/4 inch. After you're done stitching, you're going to open them up, folding the fabric over, leaving the top band flat, and then you will top stitch at 1/8 inch. I'll go over to the machine and do that now. As you can see, they are now top stitched. And just to show you what the back side looks like, you're going to set one of those aside, and you can set your pocket linings aside. On one lining piece, you want to flip it over to the wrong side. For visual purposes, so that you can see in the video, I am going to show you with a black zipper stay. For this actual make, I will be using a light colored one so that it doesn't show through like the black does. So, using this center mark at the bottom of your top band, you're going to fold your zipper stay in half. You will use your Fabri-Tac glue, apply it to the back side of the zipper stay, and you will place the zipper stay directly below the top band, centering it with this center mark. And just to make sure that everything continues to be straight, I'm putting a ruler at 2.5 inches from the top edge, and I will place a mark, and it is actually perfect. So if you want to do this, you can as well. After you have that secured, let that dry. While we are waiting for the zipper stay to dry on the other lining piece, we will add the sunglasses pocket to the other interior. So using the center mark at the top and the bottom and a ruler, you want to place a line as a guide. Fold your sunglasses pocket in half and mark your centers as well. The top stitch edge will be at the top. Your open edge will be at the bottom, and this is where you will stitch it at this time. Now, in order to hold it in place, if you're using waterproof canvas, it's kind of hard to use DST. If you're using a fabric or a canvas, you can. So for this, I'm actually using some bigger clover clips, and I'm just going to fold this top edge over and hold the pocket in place until I get it over to my machine. And then once I get it over the machine, I'll move everything out of the way so I can top stitch down each side across the bottom to close it up and back up to the other side. As you can see, I have the pocket top stitched. You can, if you want, add rivets into these corners, keeping out of the stitch lines to secure those. And we're going to set this aside. Now that our zipper stay is dry, we're going to place a mark at the center of the window. And let me get something where you can see what I'm doing. Okay. We're going to place a mark at the center, and then we're also going to draw a V. Like I'm making a triangle in the corner. You can use your rotary cutter. You can use an X-Acto knife. I'm going to use my seam ripper to open up the ends at the point. That way I can get my scissors, and I'm cutting along this line. And I will cut all the way to the corner of the stay. You bring this in a little closer so you can see what I've done. In the corners, we will place glue in the triangle area at the ends inside the zipper window. And you can either use your fingers or a bone folding tool or an awl, and you fold the triangle back out of the way. I have a pick here that if there's any glue in the corners, it will get on the fabric. To ensure that there is no fraying. And I will turn it over and just run that all in those corners. Once you have the corners secured, then you will place glue on the long edge one side and fold the fabric over the edge of the zipper stay window. Again, you can use your finger and just crease along the edge of the zipper stay. And once you get a nice crease, then you can fold over, starting in the corners, making sure to get that edge secure. And if you're using a bone folding tool, your glue does need to tack up a little bit. If you've used a lot, it takes a little bit longer, which is usually my case, and why I resort to my fingers. Once you're satisfied with the corner, and if you feel that your threads will not fray, you're good to go. You can glue the next. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue here in this corner, making sure my pick is clean. I'm going to pick a little glue up and dab in that corner, and then from the exterior just run the awl along that corner edge, getting all the excess to the back side. And then I'm just going to wipe the excess. And once you get that, you can place a piece of DST over the top. It helps to hold it in place while you're gluing the bottom. May not be your preferred way, but I assure you the more you do them, the faster they get. I am not hurrying so that you can see everything that I'm trying to do. Again, a little glue in the corner just to make sure we have no loose stray fabrics here in the corners. And then make sure my pick is clean. And then get rid of the scrap piece of paper with the glue. And add a piece of DST at the bottom of the zipper window. Once remove the DST backing, you want your zipper pull, when you're looking at your lining pocket, you want it on the left side. So this is upside down. We're going to place it on the right side. We're just going to get it started. I'm going to flip it over and center my zipper in that window. Once you have your zipper centered, apply a piece of DST at the top edge of the zipper, on the tape, and at the bottom. All right, you have your lining pieces. You're just going to flip it wrong side up, aligning the top edge of the pocket lining with the bottom edge of that opening. Fold it over. Remove the top DST. Place the lining directional. You're just going to flip it from side to side. You will align the pocket with the top edge and open it up. I place clips to hold it out of the way. You will go over to your machine Okay, now that you have your top stitching done around the zipper and the sides also stitched, we can continue with the interior assembly. For the interior, you can create your darts and stitch them as well. Stitch these according to the pattern. Once you have your darts stitched, I don't normally stitch them in black, but I did that so you could see them in the video. Then you're going to place your lining pieces right sides together. You will align the top edge from where the band meets the lining and clip. Do that for the other side as well. Finish clipping and stitch the seam allowance according to the pattern instructions. I stop at the dart to ensure there's a large enough opening in the bottom for turning the bag right side out. Once you have the sides of your lining stitched, your lining assembly is complete. Okay, now that you have both your exterior and your lining assembled, it is time to put everything together. So in the lining, your sunglass pocket is on the front of the bag and your zipper pocket is on the back of the bag. So when you insert your exterior, you want the flap on the same side as your interior zipper pocket. So you can push the bottom up in a little bit. Insert the exterior inside your lining. And start clipping. I start with aligning my side seams. Then align your center points on the back and on the front. Then continue clipping. Once you're done clipping, you're going to stitch this top edge at 3/8 of an inch. Instead of the 1/4 inch that's in the rest of the pattern. And let's go over to the machine and do that. Once you have your two pieces stitched together, that's when I go ahead and push all my points out at the bottom of the bag. I make sure that I hold the lining pocket from the front zippers. Push the interior down inside. If you have any stray strings like I do, you want to trim them. I finger press through the flap area. And I roll the edges of my seams. And clip as I go around. Once you're done, you take it over to the machine. You can top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Alright, once you have your bag all top stitched, you can open up your interior zipper. You're going to pull the bottom through. Clip your bottom. Take it over to the machine and stitch this interior or lining is stitched at the bottom, and now we're just going to fold over the zipper pocket lining so that their edges are wrong sides together, and we're going to sandwich these in between so that we can close this pocket as well. For some of you, it may just be easier to do this right at the machine, because then you don't have as many issues clipping the bottom as I'm doing right now. Let's stitch this closed. Okay, and for visual purposes, I did use the black thread. I wouldn't normally do this. Go ahead and tuck that down inside. Close up your zipper. You can press your seams, get everything all straightened out. You won't snap. Your side snaps, and close your edge lock. And now we're ready for the strap. Okay, and I'm going to choose to add my strap as a backpack. If you've watched the intro video in the beginning, you're already aware of your different options. And so your Hailie Jade Mini is complete.